The haircut that shook a bank. It began as quietly as any other Tuesday. The automatic doors of Crestmore Financial's flagship suburban branch whispered open at 9:02 a.m. and welcomed in a stream of customers, many of whom wore pressed linen, Rolex watches, and attitudes to match. They were greeted with cheerful nods, name recognition, and freshly brewed espresso. But when a poised black woman in a charcoal gray pantsuit stepped through those same doors an hour later, her reception was an entirely different story. Her name was Camille Harris, and she was no stranger to power or prejudice. At 38, Camille was one of the most respected executives in ethical investment strategy, a regular feature in Fortune and Forbes, and a newly appointed board member at Crestmore's parent firm. In just 2 weeks, her appointment as CEO would be made public. But today, she wore no designer tags. Her box braids were arranged neatly in a low bun, her makeup minimal, her jewelry modest. She had come to conduct an unannounced assessment of how ordinary customers were treated at her bank, especially those who, like her, didn't walk in cloaked in privilege. It wasn't just a social experiment. Camille lived by the belief that you cannot reform what you haven't experienced. So, she walked into the Crestmore branch in the same way any hopeful entrepreneur might, portfolio in hand, plans in mind, and dignity in full view. She was there to inquire about funding for a hypothetical community business development project designed to uplift minority-owned startups. The marble-floored lobby sparkled with intention. Ornate fixtures, curated art, and soft jazz playing just loud enough to remind everyone this was no ordinary financial institution. But none of that opulence softened the sting of what happened next. Camille stood at the front reception desk, patiently waiting while a blonde woman named Ashley tapped away at her computer. The receptionist didn't look up. Minutes passed. Then, an older white couple entered. Suddenly, Ashley lit up. "Mr. and Mrs. Kingston, how is Paris?" she chirped, stepping from behind the desk to embrace them, ignoring Camille entirely. Camille watched as Ashley escorted the Kingstons to a personal banker, their laughter trailing behind them. Still, she said nothing. She had been overlooked before, but she wasn't here today to ignore it. She was here to observe, document, and eventually correct. Next came a middle-aged white man in a golf shirt. He, too, was instantly greeted and led away. After nearly 30 minutes, and 6 white clients who arrived after her had already been served, Ashley finally glanced up. "Do you need something?" she asked curtly, as if Camille's presence were a disruption. Camille responded professionally, asking to speak with a manager about a business loan. Ashley's eyes flicked over Camille's braids, down to her simple purse and unbranded shoes. "Are you sure you're in the right place?" she said, her voice laced with sugar-coated dismissal. "We're a full-service institution for high-net-worth individuals. You might want to try the check-cashing place on King Avenue." Camille didn't flinch. She simply handed over a mock business cardone listing her as the CEO of a small consultancy firm. "I'm seeking funding for a community revitalization project," she said. "I'd like to speak with the branch manager." Ashley sniffed, accepted the card with visible reluctance, and pointed toward the most isolated waiting area in the lobby tucked behind a fake ficus plant. "You can wait over there. Miss Langston is very busy." Camille took her seat. In her portfolio were full financials, projections, market research, all fictional but impeccably prepared. From her vantage point, she watched the social choreography of the branch. White customers greeted with warmth, minority customers, there were few, treated with indifference or thinly veiled suspicion. Nearby, a white woman muttered to a friend, "I don't get why they wear their hair like that. It's so aggressive." Her friend nodded. Camille sat still, lips pressed tight, gaze fixed ahead. Every remark was another note in the symphony of exclusion she had known her entire life. After 47 minutes, Ashley returned. "Miss Langston will see you now." Camille followed her down a pristine hallway lined with portraits of white male bankers dating back decades. At the end was a corner office with a plaque, "Rebecca Langston, branch manager." Rebecca was in her mid-40s, icy blonde, and polished like a magazine spread. She didn't rise when Camille entered. She didn't offer a seat. "How can I help you?" she asked, tone flat. Camille remained composed. "I'm interested in a small business loan. I have a detailed proposal and supporting documents." Rebecca leaned back and glanced at Camille's hair with thinly veiled disdain. "Do you understand how commercial lending works?" she asked slowly. "I do," Camille replied. "I hold an MBA from Harvard, but more importantly, I've worked in finance for over a decade." Rebecca didn't blink. "Well, most of our products are tailored for people with, let's say, a more stable background." "You're from where exactly?" "Detroit," Camille said, her tone neutral. "Born and raised." Rebecca pursed her lips. "Urban roots. That explains it." Still, Camille tried to keep the meeting on track. She laid out her proposal, an incubator for Black and Latino entrepreneurs in underserved areas. It was a plan with both social impact and serious returns. Rebecca skimmed it, scoffed, and then let out a laugh. "So, a salon in the hood," she said with mock seriousness. "That's what you think this bank would fund?" Camille didn't flinch, but the temperature in the room had dropped several degrees. "I'd like to understand your loan qualifications," she said calmly. Instead of responding, Rebecca buzzed security. Moments later, two guards entered, tall, white, and expressionless. "I'm concerned this person's identification may be fraudulent," Rebecca announced. "We've had issues before." Camille presented her license, passport, and credit cards. All matched, but Rebecca scrutinized them like they were forged. "Your hair is different here," she said, holding up Camille's license. "You looked more polished then." "What are you implying?" Camille asked, voice level. Rebecca didn't answer. She signaled the guards. "Escort her to the lobby. And make sure she's properly identified." That's when everything broke. Camille's arms were seized. Her phone slipped from her grasp and slid beneath the desk. Her composure cracked, but only slightly. "Unhand me," she ordered. "This is assault." Rebecca followed into the lobby, holding office scissors she had taken from her assistant's desk. "What are you doing?" Camille demanded. "Making sure no one confuses you again." Rebecca snapped in without pause. She began cutting. One by one, Camille's braids fell to the marble floor. The customers looked on in silence. Some filmed. Most did nothing. When it was over, Camille's braids lay scattered like fallen soldiers. Her scalp was patchy. Her spirit, though bruised, remained unbroken. "This is a hate crime," she whispered. "No, Rebecca replied. This is banking policy." Camille didn't scream. She didn't cry out yet. But her smartwatch had recorded everything. It transmitted footage, location, and an emergency alert to Crestmore's board of directors. Every second was backed up in the cloud. Within the hour, Crestmore's executives were on their way. When they arrived, they walked into a quiet storm. Customers were posting the incident online. The lobby was tense. And Rebecca was still smug until she saw the woman whose hair she'd butchered walk back and surrounded by a fleet of suits. Camille didn't hide what had been done to her. The board chairman, Everett Morris, took the PA mic. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "this woman you saw humiliated is Camille Harris, our incoming CEO, the leader of this institution." The room went silent. Rebecca turned pale. Security cameras were accessed. The footage played across every screen. The cutting, the insults, the dragging. Then Everett turned to Rebecca. "You're fired," he said simply. "Effective immediately." To Camille, he turned and bowed his head. "I'm so sorry." Camille raised her chin. "Don't be sorry," she replied. "Be better." And she meant it. Because from that moment forward, Crestmore Financial became the symbol of corporate reform, not because it had wanted to, but because a woman with braids had walked through its doors and refused to be silent.